Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating head-to-head matchup. We're looking at two totally different two-wheelers made by the exact same manufacturer, the TVS Jupiter and the TVS XL100 Heavy Duty. If you want to understand how one company can engineer two totally opposite solutions for riders, you are in the perfect place.
Right out of the gate, we've got to ask ourselves one fundamental question. Are you looking for family comfort, or do you need heavy-duty utility? That's the core dilemma here, and it's kind of the framework we'll be using for this entire explainer. By looking at the hard data, we're going to build a tale of the tape that will help us definitively answer this question for your specific lifestyle.
All right, Section 1. Let's meet the contenders.
Before we start throwing around numbers and performance specs, let's officially introduce these two machines and clearly define what they're actually built to do. Honestly, their basic identities are worlds apart. On one hand, the TVS Jupiter is officially classified as a family scooter. It's your daily cruiser, designed to just blend seamlessly into a modern lifestyle. On the other hand, we have the TVS XL100 Heavy Duty. And hey, heavy duty isn't just some flashy marketing slogan here. This thing is a true utility moped. It's a rugged workhorse designed for utility and endurance over literally everything else.
And because they have such different missions, they present a pretty stark financial choice right up front. The data shows us that the Jupiter sits at a noticeably higher price point. Meanwhile, the XL100 is classified as much cheaper. Now, it's super tempting to just look at that price tag, right? But as we're about to see, the Jupiter's higher cost brings a completely different set of capabilities to the table, while the XL100 basically strips away all the excess, so you're only paying for exactly what you need.
Moving on to Section 2, the tale of the tape.
Okay, let's lift the hood and look at the raw metrics to see how all this engineering actually translates to the street. The intent here becomes super obvious when you look at the engines. The Jupiter packs a 113.3cc engine, putting out roughly 7.9 brake horsepower. The XL100, though, it scales that back to a 99.7cc engine with about 4.3 horsepower. So the Jupiter brings the muscle, while the XL100 takes a totally different, much leaner approach to the road.
And wow, does that horsepower difference show up on the street? If getting to your destination quickly is a top priority for you, the Jupiter is going to top out at roughly 82 kilometers per hour. It easily leaves the XL100 in the dust, which has a much more modest top speed of around 58 kilometers per hour. The data doesn't lie here. The utility moped just isn't built for speed.
But wait, hold on a second, because we have to talk about fuel efficiency. Specifically, 57 to 65 kilometers per liter. That is the XL100's mileage, and this is exactly where it absolutely dominates. Whatever this moped sacrifices in top speed and horsepower, it makes up for at the fuel pump tenfold. To put that in perspective, the Jupiter gets around 48 to 53 kilometers per liter, so if you're tracking your daily expenses or running a delivery route, the XL100 is basically designed to squeeze every single drop out of that tank.
Section 3, comfort versus cargo.
All right, so those are the numbers on paper, but how do these completely different spec sheets actually feel when you're out riding? It's absolutely crucial to understand the physical experience here. The Jupiter delivers what the specs call excellent comfort, and it pairs that with really convenient underseat storage. Basically, it wants to pamper you a little bit on your commute. The XL100 on the flip side offers only basic comfort and pretty much minimal storage. It totally ditches the modern pampering. It is a Spartan reality, so honestly, if you want a plush joyride, you're looking at the wrong moped, for sure.
But here is exactly why the XL100 makes those sacrifices. When we pivot over to load-carrying capabilities, the XL100 becomes the undisputed champion. The Jupiter is rated with limited load capabilities, so it's great for you, maybe a passenger, and a couple of light bags. But the XL100, it boasts excellent load carrying. That basic seating we just mentioned, that's the required trade-off, so you can strap down heavy boxes, commercial goods, or heavy supplies. The thing is reinforced for a reason.
Let's bring this back to your daily routine. Just picture your actual commute for a second. If you're strictly riding in the city, both of these hold their own, though the Jupiter is rated excellent, while the XL100 is rated good. But what about long rides? If you have to endure longer, rougher stretches of road, the Jupiter is rated as better. The XL100, on the other hand, is officially listed as not ideal. That basic comfort is definitely going to test your endurance on a longer trip.
Which brings us to Section 4, the final verdict.
We've looked at the speed, the power, the fuel efficiency, and the ride quality. Now we need to resolve this matchup by bringing all this data directly back to you. Let's run through a definitive checklist based directly on the published specs. You should choose the TVS Jupiter if your day revolves around a daily office commute. Choose it for family use. Choose it if you demand better comfort and suspension. Choose it if you need higher speed and performance. And finally, go with the Jupiter if you just want those modern features and storage. If you were nodding along to that list, the Jupiter is absolutely your ultimate choice for a modern, family-focused lifestyle.
However, if your day-to-day looks completely different than that checklist, the XL100 is calling your name. And that really brings us to the core takeaway of this explainer. The better option here depends entirely on how you plan to use it. There is no objective loser in this matchup. The data proves we're dealing with two highly specialized tools, and your job is just to align the right machine with your specific daily mission. So, I'll leave you with this one final provocative thought to use as your ultimate purchasing filter. Before you make a decision, ask yourself, are you moving people or are you moving cargo? Answer that honestly, and you'll know exactly which key you should be turning. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.